So how do I get in the vortex? I mean, how do I get there?
How do you get in the vortex depends on where you are when you ask the question. Because if you are really in a negative place, in other words, if you're feeling powerlessness, the direction of the vortex is revenge and anger, and the doorway to the vortex is an emotion of hope. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you're not even in the vicinity of hope. So the path to the vortex is a path that's laced with relief after relief after relief after relief. So when you say, how do I get in the vortex? How would you characterize your mood, attitude, emotional state of being when you ask the question? In other words, where do you think you are on the emotional scale as you ask that question?
Kind of high right now.
Well,
sorry, Mom.
Well, then your question was screwy.
No, but I mean, like,
then your question should have been, how do I stay in the vortex?
Oh, right.
But that wasn't what you said.
Well, that's because I formulated the question a few hours ago when I was driving here in traffic and construction, listening to you spew off these processes that sounded so beautiful and happy while everybody was driving 4 miles an hour, and I thought, I'm never going to get the seat right in front. But then I thought to myself, wait a minute, I always get that parking spot right in front. So I just kind of lined up with the parking spot in the room in front.
So that's how you get in the vortex. That's exactly the process. You take what you're dealing with, you acknowledge that you're not where you want to be, and in this case, you took it a little further. You acknowledged that you weren't where you wanted to be vibrationally, and then you imagined the negative repercussions of that, of not getting in the front row or whatever you were shooting for.
Right.
But then you sort of came to your senses and began building your own bridges to the vortex. In other words, you built your own bridge to feeling better. You said, even though traffic's not moving, and even though there's construction, I always get a good parking place. I can pull parking places off whenever I want. And all this is a parking place for my physical body. I can get a parking place for my physical body. And then you sort of had fun with the humorous analogy that you had carved out for yourself. And then you were in the vortex. That's exactly what the process is. You just find a pathway to it. You see why we're so excited about you figuring out the importance of the vortex? And just like you brilliantly figured out how to bridge yourself into a seat, that's what we're talking about. That's how you get into the vortex. First, you make it important, and we think we have rung your bells about that. And next, you accept that everything so far that life has helped you carve out is there for you, right down to the last detail. And then you just do your simple thing. Dance your way in, massage your way in, eat your way in. Don't really recommend drugs, but it is a way in. In other words...
I do.
Good. Very good.
All right. Thank you.
What a drug or a drink does is it distracts you from the vibration that's keeping you out. So it is more possible to feel the relief. But you know how earlier we were talking about how sometimes you just stumble your way into the vortex? If you have deliberately thought your way in and then practiced being there once you get in, that's really good vortex work. But if you drink your way in or use drugs your way in or even just stumble in, and then you don't consciously acknowledge what it is and you don't do something about shoring the vibration up, then it was a more pleasant moment than what you were living before, and you may very well have felt great relief for the moment, but it's not something that is sustainable. And the art of allowing is about learning how to sustain yourself longer in the vortex. Yes?